It is report day. The 2025 Chicago Bears season is officially underway. And as always, we got you covered here on CHGO Bears. Heard from the GM, the head coach, the quarterback, one of the defensive stars. We're going to share everything with you, go through it all. Big show today. It all starts right now. Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast, Tuesday, July 22nd, a day we've had circled for a while now because it is report day. The players are in the building. We were in the building. Questions were asked. Some questions were answered. Others were trampled on. It was a battle in there today. And we got a fun show for you as always. Just so you know, this is your spot, your place, your home. The best training camp coverage coming all month-ish long as we go through the training camp grind. And CHGO training camp coverage is powered by Circa Sports Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Great to have Circa on board with us as our presenting sponsor during camp this year. And, you know, in about 27 minutes or so, we have a new addition. His name's Adam Jahns, and he's going to be joining the show as we'll get his perspective from Hallis Hall as well. But boys, a lot to get through. We've all been working out behind the scenes. Mark Carman, Greg Braggs Jr., Stephen Nicholas, Emma crushing the social media too. It's been a team effort today. How we doing?
Did you just say that Adam Jahns is joining this show today at 3:30? Is that right?
I did. Yes.
That's a big time. That's a big time addition to this program today, buddy.
Did you miss that Slack message while you were putting 18 clips in there 3 seconds before the show started? We're not going to be able to play.
Mid-season, yes, Carm's in mid-season form.
Carm had the most Carm day ever. It was awesome. He put a new player on the team that's not even on the team. It was fantastic.
Okay. All right. I like the DN Trey Flowers more than the cornerback Trey Flowers. They should have gone and got that guy who was in 2022. So I do apologize for that tweet for the 6 people that consumed it in the 1 minute that it was on when Hoge yelled at me to delete that thing. And no, know your Carm. I know that Jahns is coming. I just wanted to underline it. And by the way, if we're talking about victories today, I thought Carm was fantastic in the press conference today. You know, I got a question into each one of them. It was competitive. Gregory, I had you on my perch there trying to get it done. I thought it was a phenomenal day. Shout out to our friends at Circa. If I was going on the Circa Sports app right now, I bet every single Bears over the way I'm feeling coming out of that press conference. I thought Caleb looked at 1 year better with everything. And I know we got a ton to get into, but I thought it was a great day for the Bears today. I really did.
All right, well, let's jump in. Let's do it. We like to, as we always do with our post-practice shows. This technically isn't a post-practice show, but it's a training camp show. We always do our best and worst of what we see, what we hear, really anything. The ciabatta bread that, you know, we had on the sandwiches today could have been, you know, anything's at play here. Anything could be there play. I'm going to go, though, with just the one quote today that I just loved so much because it's I'm going to pull a Braggs here. It fits my narrative, okay? It fits what I want to hear from this team and, more importantly, see from this team and this coaching staff. Enough of the BS, enough of this soft ramping up stuff. No, let's play football. Let's callous up the bodies. Let's see what a real NFL training camp looks like. I'm hoping that's what we see this year. So when Grady Jarrett was basically asked about how, you know, you're going into year 11, you're a veteran, you got to ramp up. Like, how, you know, he's like, I'm not ramping up. I go balls to the wall every day, and that's what's made me so good. I love that. The Bears need more of that. And I think that's exactly why Grady Jarrett's here. I think that's why Joe Thuney's here. I think that's why they added all these players, this coaching staff. Enough with this softness. Play football. No ramping up. Now, there's some exceptions. Obviously, Braxton Jones coming off an injury. Like, okay. But, like, no. Get out there. Put the pads on. Strap it up and hit somebody. I just like that quote from Grady Jarrett actually got me jacked up, ready to go. Cannot wait for practice tomorrow, even though the pads won't be on. The worst I'm actually changing. I don't like that Caleb didn't watch the quarterback show. And not just because that I'm the one who asked the question and got shut down on it. I just think there's stuff he can learn from that. I was surprised at how quickly he shot that down. Like, no, I didn't. So I don't. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. But that's on a day where a lot of things were good. There were very little things to be concerned about. Sans Jaylon Johnson, which we'll get to in a second. I'd like to hear him say, "Yeah, I watched it and I learned some things from Jared Goff and Ben Johnson working together."
Completely agree. For the record, not the end of the world, but I was a little bummed you didn't want to see your guy rocking and rolling on the big Netflix. Although I did have great fun clipping you getting shot down, which we do have at some point in the show that we must play because you just barreled right through that. Yeah, no, I didn't watch it, and asked the next question, which was one of Hoge's great moments of today.
Well, hopefully Steven can find it through the 14 clips you threw in 3 minutes.
Bad job putting in too many clips for Steven to
No,
sit through.
it was a great job.
Thank you.
We just got to work on your timing, and that was something Caleb talked about was, timing with his footwork and, getting the ball out on time. But I'll get into my best and worst because we don't know if Carm has one. He didn't put it in his rundown yet. But I'm kidding, Carm. I'm kidding. Okay, I love you.
We're back, baby.
I said I was back. I said I was gonna burn up my Carm equity in a week. I promised you that, and so I did it. All right. Now let me get into my best and worst here. Let me get into my best and worst here. My best is something that Hoge highlighted if you were following along on Twitter, where Ben Johnson said, he doesn't know what kind of offense he wants to be just yet. Like, to me, that's really important. I know earlier when he was introduced as the Bears head coach, he said, this isn't going to be the Lions offense. This is going to be the Chicago Bears offense. But what does that really mean? And I think we heard it here today where he talked about, hey, I don't know if we're going to be a wide zone team. I don't know if we're going to be a gap scheme team. We're going to find that out here at camp. And as somebody and as fans, as we've gone through this with different coaches, different offensive coordinators that have tried so many times to force their scheme into players that don't always necessarily fit into that, I like that Ben Johnson is going to take this approach and try to fit to the best of the player's abilities and find it out that way. So to me, that was a very important thing for my best. He seems to me as a guy that's going to continually adjust, not just camp day to day, but week to week when the regular season starts. He's going to constantly be adjusting, whether it's the defense that dictates how they run an offense or the personnel he has on his own team. So I think that was certainly important. My worst, I appreciate Hoge scratching his worst because this is something that I talk about every year ad nauseum. This goes back to the Matt Nagy days where he didn't have starters play in preseason for all 4 games. And so we're going to find out. The book isn't completely closed yet, but he did kind of say in one of Mark Carman's best questions of the day, like, how are you going to approach preseason reps? Is it important that starters play so you can kind of get that repetition and understand, these players and understand how you're going to make them work, with your game management skills? So not playing guys in the preseason, I'm always against. He said there's going to be a lot of emphasis put into the joint practices, and then that'll go off of how they go into these preseason games. But I would encourage, you only have 3 preseason games. The third one is now treated as the 4th preseason as we were used to. And so to me, you only have 2. Live reps are live reps. When you have joint practices, whether they're more physical than your average practice or not, they are not live reps. The quarterback has no danger of being hit. It's not the same as from a pass rush and protection standpoint. You need to get as many live reps as you can for your players on the field and for you as a game manager, as a head coach.
So great job, Gregory. You actually, as I am slightly behind cutting clips and getting going here, those I would have, if you hadn't said those, I would have said them. Those are great underlines by you. I like players playing in the preseason. It's why I asked the question. They're not going to do it. He's putting a lot of focus on the two joint practices. Hoge's making a face that's scaring me.
You guys just keep agreeing on stuff. What is happening here?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
2 weeks of this stuff.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It'll come. Believe me. That's a guarantee, but I do agree. But so for my best, there's a lot of best here that you could pick from today. My best today, and I was I was sitting next to Dion from ABC7 and ESPN today, and we both agreed Caleb is 1 year better, man. This is there is a maturity, there's a confidence, just the way he looks. Period, to me, looks like he's in better shape. All of it. It just felt like a quarterback who had been through everything last year that he went through. I'm not saying that means he's going to go out and dominate, but I liked when he listed his goals, 4,000 yards, want to be the first guy to do that. I loved how he got into get rid of the ball quicker. His footwork will help. There's a lot of just little things that he pointed out that he needs to do better that will help him, will help the Bears. So I thought Caleb, just the way he bottom lined his leadership and playing Uno, he said, with the guys at in the hotel during training camp. There's just a lot of just good stuff there. I also liked hearing from Grady Jarrett that Caleb was one of the first people that called him, and that Grady, another best from today, is Grady talking about I'm going to be a big brother to him. Basically, I'm going to try to kick his ass on the field, and then I'm going to go break bread with him afterwards. That having that type of leadership on the other side of the ball, that was a great answer by Grady Jarrett. My worst from the day. It's hard to pick one, but I guess I'll go with it's really not even a worse, but the left tackle situation that he's just labeling it as an open competition. He was asked if Braxton has an edge on it, and basically no. Hey, Ozzie Trapillo's here to compete. We're all here to compete. So if I'm going to really nitpick one thing, I wouldn't have hated if he had said, Braxton's been here, he's got an edge, but we also have to see him play on the field and be healthy. But if you're asking me who has the edge going in, I would give it to the vet. Like that could have, maybe he's not looking at it like that at all. That's how I'm looking at it. I think that's how most people are looking at it. Again, nitpicking here because I just thought the Bears had a really good day today. The Jaylon Johnson thing, that stands on his own as a worst of the day, because missing Jaylon for however long they're going to miss him ain't great.
Well, let's get to that, because that is what matters most today. Jaylon Johnson will be out a few weeks with a leg injury that he sustained during training. That came from Bears general manager Ryan Poles, who also notable, did not take questions today, just kind of gave an opening statement and on some housekeeping items and then handed it off to Ben Johnson from there. Jaylon Johnson out a few weeks. Remains on NFI, and that brings us to Taking the Temp, which is brought to you by your trusted local experts at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Ryan Poles guy said, okay, he's going to be out a few weeks, but he's not concerned about it long-term. I guess the question here is, how concerned are you about it? I have a feeling, just sort of merging the tone of this today with some experience. Wouldn't shock me if we don't see Jaylon Johnson much until the season starts. Maybe he gets out there for second joint practice with the Bills. Guessing he doesn't really play in the preseason. That's going to be another topic we'll dive into a little bit more, coming off of what Greg said earlier. But I guess as long as he's ready to go for the regular season, we don't have to make too big of a deal out of this. This is a veteran. We know what he can do. We know he can play. I don't know that he's going to miss a ton here, with the one exception being this is a new scheme. Obviously, this is a new defense, but I think it's one that fits him well, and he'll be all right. That's just my sort of initial take on it.
Yeah, I think for him personally, you don't worry about him in terms of his skill set and the severity of the injury. We won't know until if we hold Ben Johnson or Ryan Poles at his word, and they say, 2 weeks and he should be back. you're right, Hoge, that we probably won't see much of him because the first 2 weeks are the most practices, and then it really starts to, taper down as we get closer to that second and third week of, joint practices and preseason games. My bigger concern is what Grady Jarrett talked about, where he said, hey, we got a big brother, Caleb, a little bit here. Like, we're teammates, we're boys, we're going to break bread, but we got to challenge him in order for him to get the best out of what he can do. You're installing a new offense. You've got new receivers. You've got a new scheme. You're trying to get Caleb up to 70% completion percentage. You're trying to get that chemistry between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams down, and these receivers, Luther Burden coming in. Well, losing Jaylon Johnson, and there's a trickle-down effect in terms of how hard these guys are being challenged on one-on-ones and 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s. So that's my biggest concern, is your best player on defense and arguably your best player on the team isn't out there to challenge this offense that needs all the challenging it can get to be ready week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, all that's true, but I'm just going to stick with the basics here. Jaylon Johnson, like you just said, arguably best player on that defense, being hurt sucks. You don't want your best player hurt, period, end of story. He said, Poles' direct words, I listened back to it, was he's not overly concerned that it's going to be a long-term thing. So if we're going to just nitpick words here, overly means there is at least a little bit of a concern that it could turn into a long-term thing. Hopefully it won't. You would bet, obviously, that he'll be there ready for week 1 against Minnesota. But losing Jaylon Johnson, I get it. It's training camp. They're not playing games, all these things. It's not the end of the world, but it ain't a good thing. And to your point, like, Jaylon's a dog, man. Every single day he's showing up at practice. He's making guys better. You do have a new defensive scheme with Dennis Allen coming in here. So none of this is good. And he's just had some nagging injuries, the shoulder and his missed time, not a ton. So I just, now we got another body part that's not that's impacted, which isn't great either. So I guess
Hendrick says next man up, but who are those next guys? I mean, right. You have a really solid secondary, but right now with Jaylon Johnson out, it's next man up is Tyreek Stevenson, Zay Frazier. They just bring in Trey Flowers. You got Terrell Smith. Like, I mean, they have enough guys to make it somewhat competitive, but that top line talent, when you talk about next man up, Kyler Gordon's your nickel. You're not going to move him to the outside. So who are your outside corners that are going to challenge this offense here in the summer? That's definitely top of my concern. And
there's no way that Zay Frazier is going to be ready. That he needs a red shirt year, but go ahead, Hoge. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I think it actually adds more intrigue into how they're going to handle Kyler Gordon, because this is something they've talked about, keeping Kyler Gordon on the field more. So maybe they do try him outside. Maybe this changes some things. That's going to be fascinating to watch unfold here. Let's hear exactly what Ryan Poles had to say about the Jaylon Johnson injury, so you guys can kind of hear the overall tone of it as well.
So NFI, Jaylon Johnson, he started on NFI there. When he was training, he had a leg injury. I'm not going to get into details of that. It is going to take a few weeks before he can come back. We got a lot of faith that he's going to put in the time to rehab and be his full self when he comes back. I'm sure we'll have updates as we go through training camp, but it's going to take a little bit of time, but not overly concerned about long term.
So if we'd say a few weeks, I'm looking at the calendar right now. We're talking best case scenario, he's back the Bills week, which is where they have 3 practices, including one against the Bills on that Friday. They play the Bills, and then as Greg was kind of alluding to there, that's pretty much the end of training camp. I mean, at that point on, you have the quick turnaround to one last preseason game against the Chiefs, but at that point, the hay's in the barn. You're turning your attention to the Minnesota Vikings at that point, finalizing your roster. But I think that's okay. I don't think it's the end of the world. I would say, best case scenario, he's available there. It's the way this calendar works now. You still have, at that point when training camp is quote unquote kind of over, 2.5, 3 more weeks until you actually still play play your first game. So there's still plenty of time to get back up to speed conditioning wise and get ready for the Vikings. So I think that's kind of best case scenario, not the end of the world. We all know what worst case scenario is. We don't need to get to that, but I would say, not going that far. Worst case scenario is, depending on what this injury is, a lot of players have to play through things, and then the season ends and they're like, well, he just wasn't 100% all year. And that, kind of held him back. And I unfortunately, I think that might be on the table here too, but this is all fresh. So, not ideal way to start the first day of camp. Also, not the only team dealing with these types of things. The Detroit Lions got up there and announced that one of their starting defensive linemen's out for the year. So it can definitely be worse. All right, we got a lot to get to on this show. We're going to talk more about Caleb Williams. We heard from him. We heard about some of his goals. Ben Johnson talking about Caleb. There's some interesting things there. And Adam Jahns will join us here shortly as well. But first,
Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. They've got locations all over the city and in the suburbs, from Wrigleyville to Champaign and everywhere you need it. So visit Sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 or older or Illinois medical card holders. For existing users, use the promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item. And then, of course, have to give a shout out to our good friends over at Empire. Empire Today is where you want to go and who you need to trust, because just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get that. We've all been to those big box stores. You wander endlessly around the aisles, then somehow you're hauling all these materials home yourself, installing, coordinating, having to do it all. Well, at Empire Today, they take care of you because they are the experts that live and breathe flooring. You can pick that flooring and the colors for your space. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code CHGO. Yes, you heard that right. A $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details and tell them CHGO sent you.
See, look at that teammate right there. Arms busy cutting 800 clips and banging his microphone around, and Greg's like, I'm just gonna take care of the ads for you guys today. It was big. Things got delayed a little bit at Hallis, and we still hit the air on time today.
Yeah, but he's the only one that's in an actual studio, and he looks like he's in a cave. So I think I don't understand. I'm sitting here in a brand new room with no real good light, yet I look better than this dude. How's that possible?
Hey, I set him up, all right?
Well, then it's on you there, Nicholas.
And I had to have the bricks in the background in honor of Ben Johnson saying brick by brick today.
That was huge.
For the brand.
Shout out, Rex. Big day for you.
Brick by brick. All right. Hey, before we get to some Caleb talk, there were some transactions we should briefly discuss to make room on the roster. They had to waive a couple guys too. So with the injury to Jaylon Johnson, the Bears signed defensive back Trey Flowers, not the defensive end Trey Flowers, who has a Y on his tray. And then they also signed a guy out of Villanova. I like this guy coming out of a while ago now. I don't know. These years fly by quickly, but that is defensive end Tano Passigno, who was originally drafted by the Chiefs. He spent the last 3 seasons, I believe, 1, 2, maybe 4 seasons with Dennis Allen in New Orleans, which is notable. The Bears had to waive 2 players that included Alex Cook and also defensive lineman Jeremy Robinson. And then everybody's off of NFI except for Jaylon Johnson, as Jade Walker and Ian Wheeler, whatever they were dealing with, they're good to go. So everybody else, NFI is non-football injury. So if you suffer an injury outside of House Hall during, the 6 weeks that they're off, you're eligible to go on that NFI list. So it's just Jaylon Johnson left. All right, let's talk some Caleb Williams. And, I guess we'll start with the goals thing. I thought that was interesting because we first heard Ben Johnson say, that he wants Caleb to complete 70% of his passes. I'm going to go back to what I said off the top of the show. I love the high expectations. Like, let's stop messing around with trying to lower the bar here. 70% is a high number. It is, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure how attainable that is this year. But I love that that's the goal. Set the bar high. And I keep talking about this with Caleb and what I want to see from him even in training camp. It's just completions. Find whoever's open, move the ball forward. They don't always have to be big plays. And I think that that's what Jared Goff has really mastered in Detroit under Ben Johnson. So I love that that's the bar that's being set. And then Caleb later confirmed that 70% goal and then also added, I want to be the first 4,000 yard passer in Bears history too. So I know players sometimes get uneasy talking personal goals because they don't want to make it, seem like they're me guys like Carm. They want to be about the team. And but I like it when they have personal goals. I think you should have both. You should have team goals. You should have personal goals. You should be looking at it both ways. And I like that from Caleb today.
So the players last year that played 10 or more games, we'll set the bar there, that had a 70% completion percentage, the QBs that did it, from the bottom on up. Geno Smith, 70.4. Joe Burrow, 70.6. Baker Mayfield, 71.4. Jared Goff, 72.4. Tua, 72.9 at the top. Tommy DeVito, Joe Milton, Marcus Mariota, a handful of games they did it as well. And then 4,000 yards last year, you had Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Baker, Goff, and Burrow at the top with 49-18. Only 6. So to your point, Hoge, significantly high goals he's setting for himself personally, which is cool. Go for it, man.
Well, and how do you get there, right? As we talked about in the first break, and the thing that was my best takeaway was, under Ben Johnson understanding, hey, I got to fit to my players' strengths. I'm not going to implement anything here on offense until I know what we have. Well, you got to figure out if 70% is your standard goal, that's your benchmark for your quarterbacks. Well, how do you call an offense that's going to get Caleb in the best position to be able to do that? Because one of the top things Ben Johnson highlighted, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, of his 4 things that I think were his top things that he wants to see from an identity standpoint for his team. Well, the top one he said was explosiveness. And so if you want to be an explosive offense, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. It doesn't necessarily mean you're throwing it 50 yards downfield every time. But at the same time, that's how you're going to get close to that 4,000 yards. You got to get that ball down the field like they did last year to Jameson Williams. Well, Caleb Williams got to work on his deep ball accuracy. And when Ben Johnson talked about not throwing the entire kitchen sink at Caleb Williams here, and there's so much they need to work on, from pre-snap procedure and cadence and footwork and timing. And Caleb talks about some different things with, being consistent, discipline in his rules. Those are so many different things that they have to get to. So how do you simplify the game without simplifying your offense so much so that it looks like some of the Bears offenses that we've seen before? So I think it's certainly a tall order, but I do have an early faith in Ben Johnson that he understands I've got to do a certain way for us to get to some of these goals that can be attainable if you have, some sense, common sense as Hoge's theme here this whole off season. What's the common sense to get there?
And just for a reminder, last year, 62.5%. So he's looking for a 7.5% improvement. So that's over 10% for those number geeks out there, which I tend to be at times. 3,541 yards. So 559 more yards, which is also roughly 12.5% improvement as well.
All right, here's what Caleb. We should have played this off the top. That's my bad. But here's what Caleb had to say about his goals for this season.
Obviously, I have self goals, and that's being the first 4,000-yard passer in Bears history. That's a goal of mine. 70% completion that helps the team, keeps us on the field, puts us in better positions. And then other than that, just trying to go down and score the most points that we can with each drive that we have. So that's kind of my self goal, and obviously other than that, you got to go win. That's success for me. That's success for the team, and that's all we wish for and all I wish for.
So, and there was also some talk about homework assignment during the summer break, and this is what that entailed. Ben Johnson giving Caleb Williams some things to work on over the break. That started with footwork. We got it. Footwork. Everything kind of starts with footwork with the quarterback and keeping those sack numbers down. Very specifically, he mentioned short throws to the left that he was missing in OTAs. I thought that was interesting. And then I like this quote from Caleb. It's kind of a no-brainer, but it was good to hear him say it. Spending 30 to 40 minutes to an hour a day working in your playbook, even though you're in summer mode. He said, if you can't give up an hour or 30 minutes to go over your playbook, you probably shouldn't be in this position. I think that's fair to apply to the quarterback job in the NFL. We got more to come on this Caleb conversation. I also want to get to what Grady Jarrett had to say about kind of his role in helping Caleb Williams. I thought that was super interesting. But we are going to bring in Adam Jahns next. But before we do that, take our next break.
Want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Mando. They offer a 4-in-1 acidified cleansing bar, shampoo, face wash, body wash, and deodorant. It's an all-in-one bar. Saves space in your bag. It does it for you. It's for your whole hygiene routine. And one thing that's made me more confident is Mando whole body deodorant. They take care of you, the pits, the balls, the thigh folds, the belly buttons, the butt crack, and feet. You got to make sure you take care of those things, Mark Carman. It's clinically proven to control odor better than a shower and with just soap alone. So, hey, Carman, if you don't want to take a shower, you don't have to because you have Mando. 12 hours after a shower with the average man's grundle odor level was a 5 out of 10. In Mando, the average grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10. So Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customer. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. So use the code CHGO at shopmando.com. At shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide and free shipping. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. And then, of course, got to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Four Seasons. Got to love Four Seasons. Summer is here, and your home air conditioning certainly needs it with 95-degree temps. In 2024, it was the hottest of the year, and I think they've topped it this year. And you can also get expert technicians with Four Seasons that ensure you will always receive reliable service, and they show up on the holidays. They do not miss a beat. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. So visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers, money-saving coupons, and everything in between. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com, and make sure you tell them that we sent you from good old CHGO.
All right. Keeping it rolling. Just another phenomenally well done, Greg.
Well, the chat's pointing out that I said acidified instead of acidified. Yes. And I just, it's Mando, and they're talking about butt cracks and stuff, so I just figured it was acidified.
That's fair.
Just a reminder from behind the scenes here. We did everything we could to have Braggs not do ads for months on end, and he never said anything, and it was like the best thing that ever happened in the show. Personally, I would say that it was a really great thing, great stanza for us. And now we've just given up to the point that he's just doing all the ads, which I don't think is necessarily great, and we're not going to let him do that because we love our sponsors. But you did a great job today, Gregory, acidified included.
Thank you.
I couldn't let that one go either. I loved it. I was laughing there. I was laughing the entire time. Go shout out. Yeah, go get your Mando. All right. Now we're gonna bring in our Mando. His name is Adam Jahns. This is a hell of an intro to this nonsense that he agreed to join. That's his problem. But we bring him in to CHGO in general. He's here. He's ready to go. It's our first day of Bears camp. And by the way, before I let him talk, we should let you know that you should get the Die Hard deal that's going on through the end of the month. So what? We got another week or so here. The Hoge and Jahns introductory Die Hard special. You can join now if you're not already a Die Hard for some reason, and now's the time to do it. You can get the special edition merch. This is the only time we're going to be selling this stuff. Well, there'll be more merch in the future, Hoge and Jahns merch, but this is the limited edition launch with the, combining the CHGO logo with the walking bear. You get the t-shirt, and everything that comes with being a diehard for $36 for the first year, or upgrade to that awesome, sweet branded Bills hat for $59 for year one. And you'll also get all the great content that Johnsy's going to supply and he's working on right now as we got the report day. What's going on, Johnsy?
Oh, what's going on, fellas? It doesn't really feel like training camp to me till the practices begin. Just a lot of talking today, not a lot of work on the field, but it's good to be here. It's good to be back at House Hall.
So at any point today, what year is this for you?
Oh boy. Since 2012.
Okay.
Long time.
Okay. Did you have the thank God Ben Johnson is here feeling at any point today that I think a bunch of people in the media room did? I know I did. I was like, all right, this is so much better. Thank you. Which doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win a lot more games, but I hope that it means they're going to win a lot more games.
Well, Matt Nagy had the same vibe to him when he started here. Everyone liked talking to him. He was very energetic. He was very gracious with his time, gave very extensive answers. He engaged the media a bit, but I get your point. It's an offensive league. He had the new head coach who had three of the best offenses in the league not too long ago. And you have Caleb Williams here, who spent most of his day talking to us and beyond sweating in the backfields here. So I get your point, but I like to see some results on the field first before we get too excited.
So at first I thought Ben was just making like a Netflix joke because, obviously quarterback show coming out. I think he was kind of doing that. But then he pivoted to the Thunderbirds documentary. And then that got me mad because that's actually on my watch list, and I didn't get to it because I don't watch any TV in the summer.
You were more mad about Caleb Williams saying he didn't watch the quarterback show?
I was upset about that.
You had a follow-up ready to go for him, too. Didn't watch it.
I know. He didn't. We started the show with that. I don't really care that much. I just find it more interesting than anything else. I do think there's some things you can learn from that. But all right, nobody's on. Don't watch quarterback. Watch Thunderbirds. Every year, Jahns, they give us a homework assignment. There's some book we have to read. Go to the captain class. Last year we had the
captain class goes back to Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace.
That's right. And then last year we had the wisdom of the bullfrog. Which
Ryan Poles, that was from his book collection. So now this year, the homework assignment is actually watching TV. I could do that. At
least, Greg, we don't have to read a book this time. We can just watch this on Netflix. It's a Thunderbirds documentary.
That's right up my alley.
Bullfrog book. No way.
Have you seen it?
Out list of the leadership lessons right here, laminated from that book.
Very good.
That's.
Can you show that again?
It's frightening, is what it is. Greg, are you the only one that's seen this show, or have you not watched it either?
No, I haven't seen the Thunderbolts. I haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
How about Thundercats?
I know. Well, Thunderbolts is a new Marvel movie. That's on my list of things I'm going to watch.
Of course, Gary Ross has seen it. Probably watched it with Poles.
I mean, so Jahns, essentially, I mean, maybe this isn't even a fair question until you get to get on the practice field and see this stuff for yourself. But, they say Braxton, I think for most fans, when they hear Braxton and Colston are ready to go and there will be a ramp up period, I guess the question is, how long can we anticipate? Because that's subjective. That could be a couple days, it could be a couple weeks. So what should we anticipate here in this process of actually seeing them in substantial drills like 11-on-11s?
I imagine, at least with Braxton Jones coming off of ankle surgery, that's going to be a longer process. Like I would think that's his feet and his footwork is what has separated him, I think, amongst any competitions he's ever been in at the left tackle position. I think it was his footwork that helped him win that job as a rookie not too long ago. So to me, if I'm looking at left tackle competition, to hear Ben Johnson say that it's a clean slate where Braxton Jones doesn't, it's almost like nothing happened before. Like his 3 years of being the incumbent starter don't even matter. That to me felt very notable. It sounded like Ozzie Trapillo's job to lose without the Bears actually saying it, because Ozzie Trapillo has been practicing. As far as Colston Loveland, I think with that shoulder, we'll see him back in action quicker than others, especially if you're comparing him to Braxton Jones. Like he used, or Ryan Poles did use them in the same sentence. So maybe they're on the same timeline here, but I think just having different injuries will impact what they're able to do on the field just in terms of timelines.
So there was, sorry, Carm, real quick. So forgive me if I missed this, but there was nothing said about Luther Burden. So we should just expect him ready to go tomorrow.
And there was that video that he released himself of going through some footwork drills. Now, if you're watching that as closely as I was doing earlier today, like it didn't seem like he was doing things at full speed. You want to see him moving as fast as he can. It was a little private workout. So maybe a message he wanted to share with everyone talking about him on social media, including Adam Hoge over there. So maybe that's what his goal was with that video. But yes, it would seem to me, based on what wasn't said or what was said today, that Luther Burden should be good to go.
Did anything stand out to you, or does anything stand out with you the way Ben talks about Colston Loveland? Because he really seems to love himself some Colston Loveland.
Caleb Williams too, with the shout out for Colston, but it's like the first guy he mentioned they added.
It's like the new toy in the toy chest, right? Someone who's he's an exciting player. Let's be honest. I think what I'm excited to see is how Ben Johnson uses him together with Cole Kmet, because we haven't seen that yet. We've seen other players, other tight ends, I should say, on the field with Cole Kmet, but it hasn't been Colston Loveland. It hasn't been a top 10 pick on the same field with Cole Kmet. I think they have such lofty expectations for what that 12 personnel can bring to their offense. We're talking about the run game too. See the mismatch created in the pass game, especially in the low red zone, having Colston Loveland against smaller defenders, nickelbacks, safeties, and whatnot. So to see them on the field together, like that's on my list of things I want to see established early on here in training camp.
Did Ben's also comment about I'm not sure how we're going to play. I got to see this in training camp. Did your ears perk up with that?
In terms of like the preseason playing?
Well, I don't know.
Are you talking scheme, Carm?
Yeah, I'm
talking.
Yeah. Talk about the run
we
game.
have that quote. Steven, let's throw that quote up on the screen. I'll read it for everybody. That got my ears perked right away. He said, I don't know if we're going to be a wide zone team up front. I don't know if we're going to be a gap team. And he was just kind of using that as an example, I thought, of how he's still just trying to figure out schematically what they're going to be.
To me, when I heard that in the moment, sorry to interject, when I heard that in the moment, I thought of this brand new offensive line, like just beyond the left tackle competition. You have 5 guys who have never played together before. They have to figure out what they can do best together. Forget what Joe Thuney has done well at in Kansas City, or what Drew Dahlman succeeded at in Atlanta. What can those 5 players do together and excel at together? This is a brand new offensive line. Darnell Wright is the only returning starter right now, especially if you take in consideration what we just talked about with Braxton Jones. So how does all this work? What can they do together? How can they move the defensive line? How can they win the line of scrimmage? That's going to be played out here at Hallis Hall. I almost said Bourbonnais again. That's going to be played out here at Hallis Hall.
Jahns wants to be in Bourbonnais so bad. I think we should just all get in the car. Greg's already halfway there. I think we should just get in the car, go to Brickstone tonight, get some beers, and then play bags at TJ's.
That sounds lovely.
I think you just underlined that Dan Roshar is the key to this whole coaching staff. The O-line coach has an opportunity here to have a big impact on how this team plays football.
I'm the O-line coach. Like every year is like the most important assistant coach imaginable. And Hoge and I have a running joke that we've covered a lot of different running backs coaches. The same is true for offensive line coaches. I remember how happy the Bears were that they rehired Harry Hiestand, who had this past success years ago with Lovie Smith's Bears. He comes back to Matt Nagy's Bears, and you know what? Things don't work out. quite so it's quite as well. He gets fired. He becomes a scapegoat for the run game problems. So, yeah, the offensive line coach, just for his impact on the run game alone, always has great importance to me.
Yeah, so Carm is our, professional press conference psychologist.
That's right.
And he really breaks these. This is his day. Like you said, I got to wait to see him on the field. This is all talk. This is his wheelhouse, is breaking these down. So he said earlier that Caleb seemed more poised, right? And so maybe I'm paraphrasing there, Carm, but for the things that Ben Johnson said he wanted as his identity, he did talk about poise. And I heard Caleb Williams, I should say, mention like, hey, I gotta no more pouting. I got to move on to the next play. How much do you think, or from what you've seen, that's really resonated with Caleb Williams, that he's now going to take this next step in his maturation, in his second year in the league?
Braggs, I think we'll really find out if it's truly resonated, like really sunk in to Caleb Williams when we see him in the regular season get beat up a little bit. Because those moments are going to happen. There's going to be a bad interception. He's going to get hit hard, and he's going to be exposed a little bit. He's still in his second year. That's going to happen to Caleb Williams. How does he respond in the moment? How does he carry himself on the sideline? Who does he talk to? How does he talk to them? All those things that I think have been discussed with him thoroughly by Ben Johnson and his coaching staff. We have to see it play out. Saying things is one thing. Actually putting it into motion, into action, like that's a whole nother thing. And that's, I think, when we're really going to find out how much it's resonated with him, because there's going to be ups and downs in camp, but there's no wins and losses at this point. When those losses start to add up, not just like in the season, but in a game when things are going bad and momentum is not in their favor and things are really, like falling on top of Caleb Williams, that's when you want to see those messages come through. That's when you want to see those messages, those changes that we're talking about right now come through in those moments.
All right, Jazzy, we got to hit a break here, but in like 20 seconds, what can our diehards be looking for from you probably a little bit later, allchgo.com?
I got a classic takeaways column coming up that should be posted later this afternoon. And then we're starting to work on something a little bit special for later in the week. And, of course, we have a big show tomorrow, Adam. Special episode.
Yeah, special episode of Hoge and Jahns coming your way tomorrow. Make sure you do not miss it. Thanks to Johnsy for joining us. It's great to have him on board. It was also very weird interviewing him like this. We'll take our final time out of the show, and we got a lot more coming up.
Want to give a shout out to our friends over at Ray Auto CDJR. New vehicles are in store at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. And this is your chance to score a great deal at the Employee Pricing Plus sales event. Right now, lease the new 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab for only $399 a month for 27 months. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. The expert team at Ray CDJR is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. They prioritize affordability. You won't overpay for the vehicle you need. And with Ray's Price Promise, you can shop confidently with no add-ons and no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Go check out our partner today at shop one of the Chicago area's largest inventories. Don't miss out on the Employee Pricing Plus sales event for huge savings on the Ram 1500. And for more information, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. And also want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time. You know what time it is. It's game time. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. And the Cubs with the last minute deals, you want to get in tonight at Wrigley Field. Views from the seat. When you go on the app, it shows you the lowest price, the hottest price. They have all these different options for you to suit what ticket you need. It is the place I go to get tickets, and make sure you get them in the last second. That's how you save big time money. Last minute deals save up to 60% off buying those last minute tickets. And so take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for 20% off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
All right, I want to get the defensive perspective on Caleb Williams here. Grady, I thought it was interesting that Grady Jarrett was the defensive player that had talked today. I mean, maybe it would have been Jaylon Johnson if he was healthy. I don't know, but it seems like Grady Jarrett's got a really good chance to be a captain on this football team. And I think he'd be a good one. So here is what he had to say when he was asked about Caleb Williams, sort of his role in all this and how he can help a young quarterback.
Like you say, encouraging words, stuff like that, but also more than just encouraging words, telling somebody a good time. Sometimes you got to talk a little mess to them, or challenge them, give them difficulty. So by the time the game come, nothing gonna phase them, and so it's love, but it's gonna be like big brother love, and because you want the best for him, but and he want to do his best, but we got to put a tough defense out there for him to face. We got to talk a little smack, but also in between time we got to hang out, we got to break bread, eat together, stuff like that. So I think he's gonna be more than ready to go, and that's the preparation of everybody, just all hands on deck. And everybody want to see him do his best, man. The talent he got is out of this world, but I think he'd be the first to tell you, come with putting in that hard work, daily grind, and that's what I've been super impressed with so far, being his teammate so far, just how bought in, committed he is to really try to achieve greatness, man. I can't wait for the world to see it.
What a great answer. Big brother love. I like how he put that.
Yeah. Look, not to quibble with you here, Hoge, but when you go back a year ago and just remember the last year's Bears team, which I know that not a lot of people want to do, I don't want to particularly do right now. But the fact of the matter is that team had leadership issues that everyone on that team talked about. So Grady talking right now feels right, because this dude is an 11-year veteran who goes about his business the right way. That's why I asked him, and I didn't have time to find that clip going through things. Do you see yourself being the vocal leader? And his response to that was like, that's not for me to say, but I'll say something when it needs to be said. So listen, I hope that he can find the fountain of youth and play like he played in his prime. That would be enormous for this defense, but just his leadership alone could be a big deal for getting guys like Gervon Dexter Sr. to the next level here. The more you hear that guy talk, the more you realize why the Bears made the significant investment, $22+ million for 3 years, into a guy who's had a major injury and is into his 30s.
I mean, it's reminiscent of Akeem Hicks, right? I mean, this is the kind of presence that it feels like we're having in the locker room and on the field, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out here at camp. And I guess then the question is who's going to be his opposite? Who's going to be the one that brings that attitude on offense? Every action has a reaction, and Akeem Hicks's reaction was Kyle Long. And the rite of passage every year at training camp was when those two would get in a fight. That's when you knew that football season was just around the corner. And so I'm rooting for Drew Dahlman, to be honest with you. I don't really expect that out of Joe Thuney. I think he's going to be the type that's just going to lead by example and be the soft-spoken, hardcore leader of this team. But the guy that I think needs to bring some attitude to this offensive line is Drew Dahlman. And if him and Grady Jarrett are going to be having battles every day, and Grady Jarrett's going to be letting the quarterback know and letting that offensive line know, somebody got to stand their ground on offense, and let's start letting that, because like you said, there was a leadership issue. I think I've screamed and ranted about it 500 times last year. Well, that is a contagious thing. Bad leadership and good leadership can be contagious both ways. So it sounds like it's going to start with Grady Jarrett, and I want to see where this trickles down to on both sides of the ball. So I'm rooting for Drew Dahlman to get his hands dirty a little bit and get into it with Grady Jarrett when we get to camp.
You can go ahead. You just got me so excited about thinking of training camp fights. I went all the way back to Jimbo Covert in my mind when he picked up Steve McMichael and body slammed his ass. And then of course, Martellus Bennett and that was that Nathan Vasher? Was that
Kyle Fuller.
Kyle
that
Fuller,
was
my bad.
Was definitely not productive.
But entertaining.
I kind of have a feeling we're not going to see fights with these guys. I think these are all just like Akeem Hicks and Kyle Long were at a much different point in their career. They were, I mean, Kyle was still pretty young. Akeem was still finding his way in the league. Grady Jarrett this is year 11 for him. He's been through these training camps. He knows where the line is, where not to cross it. And I think Joe Tooney and Drew Dahlman are probably the same way. So we'll see. I don't know much about Jonah Jackson and his practice habits yet. But, I kind of have a feeling whatever scraps break out along that line will actually be more backup players than first teamers. But I'm sure there'll be something. There's always something that happens.
Respectful scraps. Okay. Respectful,
Yeah. I like that. And I also like that he's going to be talking some smack to Caleb, and that'll be for the whole, to the whole offense too. And they'll work through all that. All right. We'll kind of do some quick hitters here as we get through the rest of the show, and we're kind of jumping all over the place today, but it's just sort of that day because it's report day and you sort of hit on everything. But let's go back to the left tackle competition. Johnsy hit on it a little bit. I mean, look, on the surface, just the first thing is it's good that Braxton Jones is back. He's going to be ramped up, but this is, we didn't know if he was going to have to start on PUP or if we were going to see him for a few weeks. So the fact that he's not doing that is a very good thing. And that's going to give him more of a chance to, retain his job as the incumbent than if he just, missed this crucial. His situation's very different than Jaylon Johnson's. Let's just put it that way. And if he were to be out for 2 or 3 weeks to start camp, I think that would really put him behind. I agree with what was brought up earlier, that it was super interesting that Ben Johnson did not go the route of, well, yeah, Braxton's been here, and it was like, no, it's gonna be this is a level playing field. And he also briefly threw in there that he's never had a 3-man position battle before, and that is kind of rare. For usually when we talk about like a line spot, especially probably most position battles, you're talking about 2 guys, not 3. So I don't know what really make of that, other than it does make it a little difficult because one of the 3 guys is going to be getting third team reps, unless it'll be fascinating to see how they rotate those guys and how they make it work. But I want to bring up this sort of prediction question to you guys. Who do you think is going to get the starting reps at left tackle tomorrow?
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm rooting for Ozzie Trapillo, but maybe he puts Karan Amagaji out there as the second-year guy. I mean, I guess that's, I think, where I'd lean at this point. Personally, I'd put out Ozzie Trapillo.
I think it's going to be Trapillo. I think Karan is still working his way back, and Braxton's still working his way back. Maybe Karan's ready to go, but if there's one guy in that Bears locker room who should have a major chip on his shoulder, it is Karan Amagaji, because he clearly, at least, unless something changes the way they start talking about him, to me, it sounds like he's massively climbing uphill here against an incumbent in Braxton Jones who's coming back healthy, and a rookie they prioritize in drafting. So I know it's the same GM, but new regime. So this is, he's got some work ahead of him here, which, even though he was a 3rd-round pick, I don't know what his future is with the Bears here. So I've said this a million times. I'll say it again. I like Karan. Karan's worked his ass off this offseason. I would not count Karan out, but I think Karan is coming into training camp chasing.
Well, we went through this we went through this last year with the center position, right? They were rotating first team reps, and then it took 2 weeks into training camp, and they still hadn't made a decision. And it's the same thing as last year where you're installing a new offense. So as much as they want to be patient and let this process play itself out with Braxton Jones coming back from an injury, at some point you got to make a decision because you have an offense to install. So time is not your friend anymore.
Yeah,
you're a month away from Minnesota.
Everybody's getting installed to the same offense. So it's that part doesn't really concern me as much. To answer my own question, let's not forget, Karan got the first he got the first crack with the ones in OTAs. He's back. He's been back. It was Ozzie that was going the second day when they were alternating. So I'm just wondering if that flip-flops, and I'm going off of nothing but a gut and kind of reading the tea leaves here. I think I'm going to say Ozzie's with the first team tomorrow. but it wouldn't shock me if it's the other way around. It will be interesting to see how much Braxton Jones can do. Again, another reminder, please become a diehard. Now's the best time. We say that a lot, but we keep making the diehard program better and better. Now that we've added Adam Jahns, it is the best time. Become a diehard right now. I believe we've had massive signups, and we love everybody that's joined. And reminder that you can get that diehard deal right now. As we head into overtime on this show here on CHGO. We can upgrade and get the Brandon Bills hat as well. It's all for you there, and access to all of our great diehard content, not just Johnsy's, but everybody for all of our teams that we cover here at CHGO. All right. Let's bring this full circle, because Greg brought this up in his worst at the top of the show, and I did want to give us all the opportunity to talk about it. While it has not been definitively said, this is the first time that we're going to see the Bears have, at least first time that I've seen in 15 years, the 2 joint practices happen. Well, two joint practices against 2 different teams happen. And that alone was a little bit of a tip off. I felt like that they might not be playing starters too much in the preseason. And Ben didn't say today that he's not going to play starters in the preseason, but he did say that there's going to be a greater emphasis on joint practices. This is not new. This has been a very strong trend around the league in recent years. We're seeing more and more teams do 2 of these. There's a million reasons why. You can control it better than preseason games. You get to steal stuff from the other coaches, the team you're going up against. The front office gets to scout a whole nother roster against their own. And it is actually very common now when those final roster cutdowns happen to see, oh, the Bears just picked up this player from the team they practiced against a few weeks ago. We've seen that happen a lot over the years. So there's a lot of good reasons why they do this. The thing about controlling it, though, I push back on that a little. It is true. But on Sundays in week 1, you don't get to control what's happening. It's football. And so I still think there is value for going through the actual preseason games. It doesn't have to be a ton of reps, but playing in those games, to me, still matters, because you can script things in a game too, but then you could actually get punched in the mouth and things tend to change. So the fact that you're still going through a heavily scripted practice, these coaching staffs kind of come together and say, we're going to do this and we're going to control this and all that, you still can't hit the quarterback. And there's something to me to be said of those live bullets flying. So I just hope this doesn't turn into, what was that, 2019 when Matt Nagy didn't play the starters at all? I mean, there's got to be at least some balance here. So I will be interested to see how this plays out, and I'm a little nervous based on what we've heard so far that they're not going to play enough.
Yeah, I was hopeful that he was going to say something along the lines, we're going to use everything from the joint practices to the preseason games. But he said they're going to lean on the preseason. So Friday, August 8th, the Dolphins are here. They play them on the 10th. So the way it sounds is that the 8th is going to mean more than the 10th, perhaps. And then the next one is a week later on the 15th. Here comes Buffalo. And then they play the Bills on the 17th, which is a Sunday. So I guess those are going to be 2 big days to be at practice, to see how this all looks. And by the way, that's coming quick, but it also feels like a lifetime from now when we actually get to see this thing with them on the field and how training camp has moved from now until then.
Yeah, it's going to be warp speed starting tomorrow. We'll be at August 8th before you know it. And hey, little teaser for everyone here in the chat. won't completely give it away, but make sure you schedule out your August 8th. It's a Friday night. We have a live event in the works right now. I haven't been greenlit to say it on the air, but I'll at least say that because I know people have to get their scheduling issues, in check, but we're going to have, something special planned for that day, August 8th, after practice is over later in the day. So keep an eye out for those announcements here coming up, for training camp coverage here at CHGO Bears, the best training camp coverage you will find. Yeah, I mean, I talked about it earlier with the preseason. I will never come off this spot. I don't care how many years go by. This is something, as I've always said, if it's good enough for Tom Brady, if it's good enough for Patrick Mahomes, go look at how many reps they get in the preseason. Track me how many reps they get in the preseason, and then let me know how many the Bears get reps in the preseason. That's all you need to know. When you're at joint practice, is the pass rush allowed to tackle the quarterback? No. Then they're not live reps. This is a quarterback that was sacked 68 times last year. So there isn't an actual simulation of him getting better in that regard. And so when the quarterback doesn't have to be worried about getting sacked, then he's also able to maneuver in the pocket. And that was one of the top things that Ben Johnson, tasked for, Caleb Williams to be ready for this training camp. His footwork in the pocket, play action, how these guys going to play action. We're going to be getting into that here in training camp. Caleb Williams is going to be playing under center, play action a lot more than he was last year. How do you simulate those things when you're not having a true pass rush and you don't have the threat of being sacked? I'm sorry. I'll never subscribe to this. I don't care how many joint practices you put in a training camp. I'm excited to see those joint practices. They're certainly a level above your normal camp practices, but they're never a duplicate of what you can get done in the preseason, whether you're playing the other team starters or not.
Now, I will play devil's advocate here to myself because I've had this conversation, it feels like a million times with coaches over the years. And, I think it was once like asking Matt Nagy, like, how much stock can I put into whatever it was from this preseason game? And it was like nothing. It's like nothing because it's just both teams are so scared to show anything that everything is just so vanilla. And so, while I do think there's value to all the things we just talked about and having, live tackling and all that for at least a little bit in the game, I do think there's benefits to that. That is another reason, though, why these coaches like these live scrimmage. They like the fact it's not being broadcast to the world. That, one team is going to be able to look at the film and see what they did, but it allows them to offensively and defensively show more in that practice. And so when they turn on that tape, when the coaches turn on that tape from the practice, they feel like schematically it's a better test because it's more realistic to what they're going to actually use in week one, even though there isn't live tackling. So that's why it gets so complicated. I could see both sides of it, but that's also why I think there's value to both. And it just doesn't all have to be one or the other.
Man, these state secrets that these coaches are cooking up today that they don't want to unveil. They've really cracked the football code. This is not embarrassing. This is across the league, is my point. Like, this is literally everywhere. And it's just, and everyone, there's a little group thing going on right here. You'd be off the board if you're like, yeah, I'm going to play Caleb Williams 3 quarters or a half in each of the preseason games because he got sacked 68 times last year, and we want to get that number cut in half this year. And we think that him playing in the preseason can do nothing but help him there. And we're not going to worry about him getting hurt there because he'll get rid of the football because he's been working his ass off to do just that. But that's not how it goes. So I don't know. I mean, Ben's a first-time head coach. He's going to learn what works for him. I'm not saying he's going to change his mind on this, but I do think that guy is has plenty of evidence that he's going to do things and put his own stamp on it. So we'll see how he actually sees this first training camp go and what he likes and what he doesn't like.
Well, and that brings me to one last thing as I empty out my notebook here, and then we can get to super chats. I loved him talking about how he's leaning on the people around him. You said I'm leaning on, and I think it was in response to Jason Leisure's question about like kind of what he's learned about his own development so far. He said I'm leaning on the people around me. He talked about how this coaching staff is purposely filled with experience, guys that can help him. We've had this discussion before. The fact Dennis Allen's been a head coach before, that helps him. Whether it was the good or the bad or some of the mistakes that were made. This is the exact type of stuff you go to that guy about. Hey, what did you do in New Orleans with this? What did you like about this joint practice? Or how did you play these guys in the preseason games? What did you learn from it? That's where there's a ton of value. And then he also said, look, I feel like I got a lot of knowledge when it comes to game management. Never done it before. So I'm going to lean on the people and the infrastructure we have in place here to help me with the game management. Now, the last head coach did that too. It obviously turned out to be a disaster. But he's not the last head coach. And so you hope that all of that ends differently this time.
Look, I love that he's honest about where he's at, and that he's got to get better in all these things too, because he's a first-time head coach. I also want to say that one day in to being the head coach of the Bears in training camp, he's better than the other guy. No disrespect, actually full disrespect. He's just better, man. He's more. It's a different level. Am I missing something? Do you want to push back on that? Is that totally unfair?
No, it's not, because he better be. But
yeah, of course he better be too. But it is such a different level.
I think we have to defer to Carm's expertise here.
Thank you.
The first day last year when Shane Waldron spoke, he was like, that
Loser.
guy is an idiot. That was what Carm said. And we were all like, calm down, Carm. And he was like, no, he's boring. I almost fell asleep. And so this year we're getting a different report from Carm. So I'm going to defer to,
this is big. Carm is not bored in the press conferences. That means a lot.
And he was impressed. And he was impressed by Caleb too. That's a big transformation from last year as well in the press conferences.
That kind of slipped by me. I kind of forgot about that. You complimented the hell out of the quarterback today.
I thought the quarterback had a good day.
His name wasn't Tyson Bagent. That's incredible.
Well, so that brings me to an important point of today, because we have to get Bagent in here today. So can we please play?
This is my fault, everyone.
No, it isn't. I was going to do it.
Let me set this up though, just so everybody understands what's about to happen here. Then you can tee it up. But Carm would like to hear his own voice before the show ends. So he asked the quarterback a question. Is that what's happening?
Well, sort of. I mean, if we're really going down that road, I'd like to hear my question to Grady Jarrett. I'd like to hear my question to everybody. We're not going to do that. We're only going to play one. I'll listen to my own questions after the show in my room and just listen to how brilliant I was. But more importantly than that, this was important. I asked Caleb, what, if anything, well, let's play the question. I asked him about his offseason, and he gave a very interesting answer that can lead you right to Shepherdstown, West Virginia. Go ahead, me.
Anything stand out that you did on your own this offseason that maybe helps you get ready for today and going forward?
Yeah, I think being able to listen to in the OTA times, I would listen to the play calls and voice record them and things like that and listen to them. So that was a big part of it. And then also just speaking it, in the car, going over my cadence in the car while I'm driving, things like that, small things like that. Just, the small things, getting really comfortable with the small things, it helps, everything be a little bit more fluid.
So, for those of you, unlike Adam Hoge, it's going on day whatever, who have watched the Bagent interview, Bagent he had a friend call in the plays to him on the field, run through it, throw touchdown passes, and get himself that much more comfortable with the offense. So Caleb is kind of doing the same thing. So Case Keenum and your veteranness, we don't need any of that. He learned it right here from year 3, coming in. Tyson Bagent, Caleb doing the same thing, putting that play in his head, working on his cadence, working on the voice in the car. So what I see is a Caleb and a Bagent all coming together in a beautiful way as we head into year 3, Tyson, year 2, Caleb, 4,000 yards, all of it. There is synergy in that QB room. They're both doing the same thing in the offseason. Bang.
Bang, bang, bang. Bringing this whole show for full circle, though. This is why he should be watching quarterback, because that voice memo stuff, I think that I know that one of the episodes this year was about it with Kirk Cousins, but I think that goes back to the first time he was on the show a few years ago. And at that point, I had not really heard that from quarterbacks. It was kind of a new thing. So it's obviously trickled to him anyway, but there's just stuff like that you can learn from that show. And for the record, I did see that comment from Bro Chanton earlier in the show. It was valid that I did not watch or listen to the Bajan interview yet. The good news is, in this little handy dandy notebook I have where I write down all the things I got to do every day, I added it to the list, which I had not done. I had not done that any other day, which is why it did not get done. It's on the list. I do regret to inform you, though, it is number 11 currently on things I've left to do here on July 22nd.
Well, one of the things then that needs to be pushed ahead of that on the list, if you may, if you're going to watch something Carm did while you were gone, then I'm going to force you to watch something I did, because I was watching your first ever episode of Hoge and Jahns here under the CHGO umbrella, and I heard you talking about how you watched the quarterback documentary on Netflix, and I also did a full episode where I broke all the different things down, and I think me and you were on the same page with the WASP play that the Lions ran and how that can really bring out the most out of Colston Loveland. But I agreed with you. There was a lot to take from that documentary, just from what these guys do under center, pre-snap. There was a great moment in the show that really had nothing to do with the Lions. That was Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow, and Jared Goff kind of breaking down all the things they have to do in the 20 seconds leading up to a snap. But there's a lot of great things that I think you can take from that. And now, Hoge, you have to watch that episode where I broke all that down. But no, it is one of those things here going forward. Like I said, my biggest takeaways from what I heard from Caleb Williams today, when he talked about being consistent, disciplined in his roles, fixing his mindset of complaining, no more pouting, getting past the pouting and the anger is exactly what he said, managing the ups and downs. So I really thought, it's a press conference, but you're starting to see another level of maturity. We saw that with Gervon Dexter. We interviewed him his first year, and he was shy, quiet. He seemed kind of young, obviously they're young, but just, somebody that hasn't really become a pro yet. And by his second year, you heard a much different person. And same with this year when we interviewed him over the summer. So I think that's just a natural maturation process that takes place. So I'm excited to see year 2 of Caleb. And then my final notes, and then I'll let you guys get to super chats and everything else. But I mentioned the 4 things that I think were highlighted as Ben Johnson's team identity. And he said explosive, detailed, physical, and poised. And I'm looking forward to seeing those things implemented here in camp. They said they're going to be running a lot of situational stuff here. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of installation here going on the first couple weeks, but he said they're really going to be hammering home installations. And so those are the things that I'm excited for in terms of talking about Caleb. He said the governor is off. Motion of plays is going to be something they really look at. Cadence, footwork cleanup, timing of feet, anticipation of throws. So I liked hearing that from the head coach. And then my final biggest takeaway of the day, hearing Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams both separately talk about how impressed they were with Colston Loveland. I know we talked about it earlier, but it really feels like for a guy that wasn't on the field this summer for minicamp or OTAs, he certainly has made a big impression on this team. So a lot of things to be excited about, but ultimately we got to see it all on the practice field.
Have you guys ever heard that the governor is off?
Yeah.
Phrase?
It's a car term.
Yeah. That was new to me. I had to look it up. Removing the governor can increase the engine's top speed and power output.
Wow.
Yep.
But it also removes the safety mechanism that protects the engine from over revving and potential damage.
The governor has been off of Bragg since he was 6.
Yeah,
that's why he knows what it is.
I need a governor. That's the problem.
You do. Her name is Jenny.
Yeah. Well, both in life and with my driving.
You are frightening when you drive and look at your phone 90% of the time.
And I'll be doing that 11 times here for open practices here coming up.
When is the first open practice that we get to see you?
Friday is the first open practice.
Oh.
Friday and Saturday are. There is some weather in the forecast. Gary's already worried about that. So am I. I mean, we saw it last year where there was a few times where practices were rained out for the fans. And so that's, always something to be worried about here, especially with the limited amount of times we have to see them here at training camp, but we'll just have to wait and see. It's still kind of early in the game to be saying whether or not, rain is 100% going to happen, but those are the concerns here. But yes, Friday we'll be there.
All right.
Carm, you want to play the question you're asking for?
Yeah, I do. I want to hear Adam Hoge's question to Caleb Williams about whether or not he watched Quarterback on Netflix, and then please pay attention to his follow-up. This is good stuff right here.
Watch the Quarterback show on Netflix. You didn't?
Nope.
I was going to ask you any takeaways from
Nope.
Ben Johnson.
I watched it.
I mean, the dude said no, and Hoge just kept rolling. No, but I want the takeaways.
Yeah, it was a bad job by me, actually. I know you're trying to give me credit, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're making fun of me. I'm not sure.
I'm doing both. I liked it. Yep.
Why it's a bad job by me is I should have been prepared for the no. I don't know why I assumed he did watch it. And the no, the answer should have been what actually, I should have just been very simple. Why not? Why didn't you watch it?
Well, I mean, I think we have the answer. I don't know if you guys saw, but Cole Kmet shared it. It was Caleb Williams swimming in Cole's pool at his wedding. Did you guys see this picture?
I did see that. Yeah.
So that's what he was doing. He's been swimming in Cole Kmet's pool all summer.
So are you saying you're worried about Caleb's dedication, Greg?
No, I'm not. I mean, as you know, Mark, you've been swimming at Midtown here every day, and
right.
And we've all been lucky enough to see you, video this and document it. And, we're all subjected to your chest hair when you do it. And, and you're waiting for how long are you?
23 minutes there, buddy.
23 minutes.
Are you coming out at 6 a.m. on Friday to do it with me?
No, because I had to, in order to get to camp on time for the peasants that got to take the bus over and get in, I have to leave at 4 a.m. To leave. Literally this year, I'm going to have to leave at around 4:30 a.m. to get to the parking lot at the mall to take the bus over to camp with the fans. Can't wait to do it. So no, I don't have time for your Midtown games unless it's after practice. And after practice, we have a show to do. And then after the show, I have to work on my golf game.
And that is why I had to unbutton my shorts halfway through this show, because I have no idea when the hell I'll be able to work out ever again.
Let's keep them pants on, Hoge.
Well, the button's just getting tight. That's all I'm saying. Hey,
wow.
Well, it's true. Go back to the 27 mark of the show. You'll see me kind of like this. We got to loosen things up here a little bit so we can finish the next 40 minutes. Just being honest. Hey, that reminds me though, the whole Netflix thing of a hilarious joke that was told during Harry Tynowitz's funeral yesterday. Spike Man did a phenomenal job with his eulogy and had a number of great Harry jokes in there. But one was Harry was very tech challenged. We'll just put it
horrible.
Couldn't remember a password, couldn't open a PDF, all these things. So someone suggested to Harry, I guess, that there was a show on Netflix that he should watch. And his response was, I can't. Lucy took Netflix to college. So maybe that's why Caleb just forgot his Netflix password. That's what it is. Hope everybody understands we're just having fun with this and it's not serious.
Yeah, that probably is exactly what happened. And Harry, R.I.P. Love you, Harry. You're the best. He would send me voice texts. And like it was the worst voice text in the history of voice text. And I've got some, older gentlemen who send me voice texts that I've known for a long time who have no idea how to use technology, and those are terrible too. And Harry was worse. But the he was incredibly well honored yesterday as we kind of get to the end here. The ivy on the casket was beautiful for a huge Cub fan. The W flag on there. Spike was incredible. I thought his sister was incredible. His brothers were great. And all the who's who of media were in attendance, including Adam Hoge and our guys Jimmy DeCastro and Todd Manley and Dan McNeil and all these guys coming out to honor Harry. And I'm sure from wherever he is, he appreciated that because he certainly deserved it.
And shout out to Harry for sure. I guess while we're in this lens, I don't know if you guys saw it with driving over, and we've kind of been busy doing this show.
Can I just share one? I'm sorry. I know what you're going to go to.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to share this one thing on Harry real quick before we pivot. So a lot of people in all these eulogies yesterday brought up how good Harry was at wishing you a happy birthday. Even when you didn't want it or care or anything. So I'm literally, sitting there listening to this and I'm like, let me check my text messages. So I go look at my text messages from Harry, and now my birthday is April 16. I have a text from him April 17. And it says, I suck. I was going to tweet out this really cool thing about how you're my favorite Bears supporter and you're a great dad. And one day, maybe you'll be as cool at that as your dad is. And then I totally forgot everything. Don't think of me as late, as one day late, as 364 days early for next year instead. The next 12 months bring you the greatest year of your life. I wish you nothing but continued success for you, your wife, and your family. Please tell your father I said hi. He knows why, but there is a gun runner that's going to win the Kentucky Derby this year. Happy birthday. And, I mean, that's just Harry in a nutshell. There's jokes in there, but he's also probably actually kicking himself that he forgot my birthday, to which case I'm like, no one I work with has any idea when my birthday is ever. It's okay, Harry. You definitely don't need to send me a text, but greatly appreciate it. So I was awesome. Like, as these people were talking about this, being able to I checked my own text and saw that from him. It was just like perfect. So glad I got to share that. Thank you. Anyway, go ahead, Greg.
No, and he's 100% right. Your dad is cool as the other side of the pillow, as Stuart Scott used to say. But yeah, I was going to just mention, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Ozzy Osbourne passed away, or they announced it like an hour ago or so. I know some people in the chat are talking about it. When we talk about Harry, I'm sure Matt Kirko and Harry coming out of the break, you'd hear Crazy Train. Every once in a while, they always had great music integrated into their shows. So yeah, Ozzy Osbourne passed away as well. And he just did like 17 days ago, he did a charitable in London, a charitable concert where he raised like $200 million or something. So Ozzy going out on a good note. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. I don't know who else saw that.
No, yeah, I did see that sneak through during the Bears media availability, and I saw Zawoski tweet about that too, that all that money he raised. That's incredible. All right, let's get to Supers. Let's get to some a couple other comments in here I know we got to address. And then we'll get out of here. Cannot wait for tomorrow and actual practice. We'll be able to talk about things actually being done and not just said. Craig Leach, $20. Bear down, CHGO. Here we go.
Thank you, Craig. You're the man.
Thank you, Craig. Bob Weiss said, finally became a diehard today. Jahns' content is a difference maker. It sure is. And his column should be up soon if it's not already. So make sure you check that out. allchgo.com/diehard. You can also go straight to hoganjahns.com for that deal. It'll take you right to it. Ronald Kreider says, just sign up to be a diehard. Look forward to the hat coming.
All right, yeah. Ronald.
We all
are. I've seen a lot of people bringing up that they just became a diehard. I know we've had a bunch of new signups here in the last few weeks because of Adam Jahns. And I just want to say, for a lot of these close practices coming up, I'll be coming on in the second half of the show. And one of the things I want to help diehards bring to the show is bringing your questions to the show. So if you guys, as diehards, this is going to be something that you get that kind of is a perk to signing up. But you go into Discord, you put something out every morning. I'll kind of notify people, all right, get your questions in, and I'll highlight a handful each day. of what you want to see, what you're, curious about, what they've seen from camp, or questions you want seen going forward. Share those in the Die Hard Discord, and then I'll share them to these guys here on the show. So we'll definitely try to keep Die Hards included into what we do to this fine program.
Yes, absolutely. That's another one of the great perks. Also, you get 20% off all merch and all events, and we got lots of events coming up, including the mystery one Braggs talked about earlier. Tailgates are all for sale now. We were getting tweets this morning about how people are signing up for Vegas, and I started doing the math on the Vegas thing. It's actually a pretty damn good deal when you really think about everything included. So go check that out, True Fan Travel. We're excited about that trip. You get to hang out with us for the entire weekend, Bears, Raiders, in Vegas.
And make sure you pick the right trip because you want to be with us. By the way, also, if you become a diehard, you can read the Bajan piece that Hoge hasn't read, which is like really, really good.
It's number 11.
Which is first to watch the video or read the piece. What do you think you'll enjoy? I think you'll enjoy.
No, it's under one thing. But you're under James's hockey registration, which should honestly should be higher than 10. But it's a busy day. We'll get there.
Hoge notes better than Carm notes, or at least more important than Carm notes. We'll go with that. Those are good notes right there. Hoge.
We got Guy Finley jumping in here too. $5. Having walked the path, best to be said. Harry died sober. R.I.P. Harry.
For 13, 14 years, Guy. He put the bottle down. Which anybody who's had that battle, how hard it is. So that was a hell of a life pivot by Harry.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know. I could probably talk about Harry forever, but I've told you this off the air. Like my first interaction meeting Harry was him. Hey, nice to meet you. Let's do a tequila shot in the Bullpen Sports Bar at a White Sox game. That's the first time I ever met with. And then that was probably only 2 or 3 years before then he got sober. When he got sober, he was sober. It was an incredible accomplishment.
Well, it was one of the things that his employer wanted him to do. Like he was a welcomer to fans that way. It was part of his appeal that you could drink with Harry. So, he enjoyed it. I'm not saying he didn't, but it basically on some level was part of his job description.
All right. Well, appreciate that, super guy. We'll continue to, that was one of the homework assignments from the funeral yesterday too, is to continue to tell Harry's story so his memory lives on. We love, we've lost too many people, too many friends in this business over recent years. We'll do the same with Jeff Dickerson all the time when they pop up. And it's good therapy for us too, if we're being honest. Big Bad Bears 18 just became a diehard down here in Florida. Is that Apopka, Florida?
Let's go with the Apopka.
Apopka.
I don't know. I should know that one. I see that town all the time. I probably won't be able to attend events, but Johnsy.
There you go.
Great point. Johnsy. That should be a t-shirt. Johnsy. M. Terrell, new diehard. Can't wait for that awesome hat to arrive. Yes, sir. I will warn you, the t-shirts and the hats, they all got to be grouped together and then ordered and sent out. So they're not, because they're brand new and they're pre-ordered, it's going to take a little bit, but that's why the sign up things ending July 31st so that we can get you guys those as soon as possible. Crystal asking for a laminated roster. Can I get that as a diehard, please? If I had to do that for all the diehards, I'd have to start a printing company. So we're not going to do that. But Crystal, you deserve a laminated roster.
Damn right you do.
More than have Carms.
Well, last night Crystal came out for softball, unlike anybody who I work with here, outside of a couple of people. Doesn't bother me at all, though. And the other team didn't show up. We got an email from it's 7:48 for an 8 o'clock game. Yeah, sorry, not going to have enough players. So, Crystal, you should actually ask for more than a laminated Hoge roster for what you've done.
Wow.
Wait,
which team didn't show up?
No, we're calling them out. The teams now. I was going to take the high road, but since you're City Bureau, who doesn't know how to run onto the field or go to their positions, so wow. Now we can add on.
Now you're the one who threw them under the bus, not me. Did WGN figure out their sub situation?
WGN got smoked 6-1 to Block Club Tribune. Ernie Scatton's just doing a terrible job over there. I don't know what to say.
Well, Ernie was trying to recruit me to come play, and I was kind of tempted to go play for his team last night.
If you had done that, that would have been some serious BS if that had happened. But I do think, Ho, you should, because we're doing training camp shows here, and next Monday I got to drive down. I could drive you to the game, escort you next Monday night, buddy.
That's exactly what I'm going to do right after.
What's going on? They're busy. Something's on the list.
8:30 a.m. practice.
Got something on the list for next Monday night.
Yeah, I do, actually.
Number 14.
Speaking of media battles, then we're going to get out of here. Carm's got some beef happening in the media room.
Oh, well.
I mean, are we going to have to fight Rick Gregg?
It's not Rick Gregg's fault. Rick Gregg is the greatest. That dude is super supportive to this show. Rick Gregg sent me the audio today. God bless Rick Gregg. But yeah, no, I sort of had a seat next to Hoge in the media room, and they slid Rick Gregg and put his placard up there, and there's no designation for me. So yes, I will be sending a very nice email to Bears PR begging that I could have a cubicle too, like Adam Hoge has one, and other people in there have their own. I've only been.
Well, I think a segment that we should probably bring for the rest of the summer and maybe even the rest of the year is who got Cronined. And so today,
I got Cronin twice today. I think
you got Cronin twice.
I think 3 times. Courtney though was super sweet. Came up and wished me my best with my dad, and so today was a day, any day really. Listen, if somebody's going to talk over me, Courtney's probably got a better question than I do, so it's cool.
Yeah, I was going to give the award to Patrick Finley because there was a good moment where they both were about to go.
Oh, and he's like,
Patrick was like, "You go, I'll go." I don't
know why Pat does that. He does that all the time. He defers.
I liked when he said, "You go, I'll go next." Somebody should have then went after Cronin. Just like, no, I'm sliding in.
It was tempting. All right. Enough nonsense today, although we're fully back. So we figured we have a nice long show full of great information, analysis. I don't know. The Jahns part was a little too serious. We might need to.
We'll get there. We
need to back off. No, I'm just kidding. All right. We are, we're full go. We're going to go get some sleep, maybe. Early 8:30 practice tomorrow. Bears on the practice field. It's closed, obviously, to fans until Friday, although they are setting things up. They were out there today as I was walking back to the car, getting everything going. So it'll be nice to have the fans out there on Friday and, start to really feel like training camp. But I am excited to see a practice tomorrow. We'll see if Luther Burden's really good to go, if he's got a new number, all types of different things. It'll be fun. Dennis Allen's talking to the media tomorrow, and then some players. And anyway, thanks to our entire team getting this thing off the ground today. We have a special episode of Hoge and Jahns tomorrow. And on top of that, we'll be here 3:00 tomorrow as well with a post-practice show.
What time is Hoge and Jahns tomorrow?
We don't know.
In the evening is what we should anticipate.
It'll be after the show. It'll drop after. It'll be 3:00 CHGO Bears. That'll drop afterwards, and you'll all see why tomorrow.
Okay,
but it'll be worth the wait.
Shut up, Carm. We're ending the show.
Goodbye, Greg. See you, buddy.
We all silly like the mayor.